Hi, I'm Jess Kelly, Newstalk's technology correspondent, and this is Tech Bytes. On today's episode, we're going to compare the iPad Air to the iPad Pro 2021. So today we are going to talk through the two flagships from the range. We have the iPad Air and we have the iPad Pro 2021 with the Notions M1 chip. I'm going to explain to you why I decided to buy the iPad Air, despite being overwhelmingly impressed by the iPad Pro, and why it's always good to do your research. Never go into a store and buy the first, fanciest, most expensive device you see, because maybe it's not right for you. So we're going to kick off today by taking a closer look at the iPad Air. This is the iPad Air. It is a 10.9-inch screen, and inside is a lot of technology. So you have the A14 chip, which is the same as what we have in the current lineup of iPhone 12 devices. You also have 64 gigs of storage built in and 4 gigs of RAM. That's a lot of power for entertainment and productivity purposes. If I flip it over, you will see that the screen is nice and glossy. What I love is that you don't have a huge big bezel on the screen. You are getting the most out of that screen space. If I flip it to the side, you will see it has the boxier design, again similar to the iPhone 12 range, which I really like. One of the big pluses of this versus the basic iPad is that you can charge it with a USB-C. Seems like a small thing, but the compatibility between this, other chargers and other devices that you may have in your house is A1. On this side, we have a little magnet where the Apple Pencil goes, and we're going to talk about that guy in just a quick minute. You have your volume rocker, and you have your power button. The power button also doubles up as a fingerprint scanner. Really interesting, of course, that Apple puts a lot of emphasis on privacy and ensuring that your devices are as private as possible. The iPad Air, while it is in the sort of mid to high tier range of devices, it doesn't use the facial recognition technology. It relies on the good old fingerprint. Personally speaking, I actually prefer it, and I will tell you why a little bit later on, but it is good to note that you can do that, so you don't have to have your pin lock the entire time. This, to me, is the ultimate companion device. If you are someone who has a laptop for work purposes, Exhibit A, and you want something to be able to pick up and bring to a meeting with you a little bit easier perhaps than the laptop, if you want something that you can write on, again with the Apple Pencil, but then also use at home. So whether that is for Netflix, for touching up some photographs, sending the odd email, or of course the old online shopping, this is, to me, the ultimate device. What I would say, if you want to take it up a gear and get the most out of it for those productivity purposes that I just mentioned, you will want the Apple Pencil. This is the Apple Pencil 2, and regardless of why you are buying an iPad, I would definitely recommend it. Yes, you can get the unbranded, non-Apple ones, but for the full functionality, this to me is a game changer. It kicks it up a gear. So you will see that the iPad is very, very zippy. I am a bit of a control freak in every aspect of my life, so I don't like too much clutter, and I live and die by that on my tech as well. Don't have that many devices. Everything that's on here gets used. The killer apps for me that notch this into the essential category for tech in my life is GoodNotes. If you're a list maker like me, this is the way to go. Again, you have the lovely compatibility with the Apple Pencil. I'm going to show you exactly why you go for the Apple Pencil and not one of the unbranded ones. And that is because you can choose, firstly, your ink that you want. You can choose the thickness of the nib, but then it's pressure sensitive. So if I want to write my to-do list, I can absolutely do that. And then if I want to draw a line underneath it, but very likely I can do that as well. So it's completely pressure sensitive, depending on how you want to do it, what emphasis you want to put on certain things on your lists. Apple Pencil is the way to go. Another reason that I've seen a lot of people asking me, whether it's on Instagram or on the Pat Kenny show, should they buy the iPad, is for drawing purposes. Procreate is a sensational app. You'll see some of my naff creations there, which are very embarrassing, so we won't dwell on them, but it is a lot of fun to use. It is great, excellent precision, the color spectrum, everything looks fantastic on this tablet. So if you're artistically minded, if you want to dabble in creating creations on the iPad, I would highly recommend it. Again, the Apple Pencil makes all the difference. Another area that this device has come into its own, particularly over the last 12 months or so, is when it comes to video conferencing. I don't know about you, but I'm kind of fed up seeing my big head on a Zoom screen or on a Teams screen or whatever the heck it is. But video calls are a key part of our work lives at the moment. If you want to up your video call game, the front camera on this iPad is sensational. What is fantastic about it is that it's in a decent enough position. It's on the left-hand side. If, Apple, I know you're watching, so what I would suggest you do is actually move it to right here, so that way then I don't have an extra chin. That would be amazing. But the clarity of the image, also the inbuilt mics are fantastic, so you sound very clear and you look very clear, which is all we can ask for in this day and age. I think one of my favorite things about this iPad, having tried the entire range, is the size of it. To me, it's kind of like a notebook. It's very light, very portable. You don't feel like too much of a fool holding it with one hand. You know the way you see those memes online of don't be that guy at that gig with the big iPad in the crowd. Don't do that with this either. But if you were that way inclined, this would be fine. The battery life is fantastic. I don't really worry or stress too much about charging this tablet in any way, shape or form. It's very much a case of, I haven't charged it in like 4 days, maybe I'll pop it on now, rather than I've got through my work day, oh my God, where's my charger? Now, you may be thinking, if this tablet is so fantastic, why would they bother bringing out an iPad Pro? Well, let me tell you. So this is the 12.9 inch 2021 iPad Pro with M1 chip and oodles of notions. This is very much a gold star in Apple's lineup. This crams in all of the brilliance they have achieved in terms of their product lineup in the last number of years. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the M1 chip in just a quick second, but I want to give you the device tour and just show you the difference between this and the iPad Air, because while it may not look massively different, there are small differences that could potentially influence whether you buy one or the other. So we kick off at the bottom of the tablet again, and we have the USB-C charger, which, as I mentioned before, is just ideal. We have the same sort of magnet for the Apple Pencil. Again, it's the Apple Pencil 2 that you're using, not the original version. We have our volume rocker, we have our power button, which, although it's in the same place as the iPad Air, it's not a fingerprint scanner. What you have instead is the facial recognition on the front of the device. Now, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, I kind of like the fingerprint scanner, particularly at the moment when I am working in an open plan office. I have my mask on 95% of the time. It doesn't recognize me. So you do end up using the 6-digit code, which is not at the end of the world, I suppose, but I'm a millennial, I'm impatient, just make it work. Anyway, rant over. So when I put them side by side, you will see there is a significant difference in terms of the screen size. Now, while I thought I would love it, I'm not sure that I do. One thing that is sensational on this device, right, is the front camera. Now again, it's not in the best location. We still have the double chin problem because it's on the left side of the device rather than the top of the device, which is not ideal. But they have a feature called Center Stage. Again, if you're somebody who does a lot of meetings, if you are somebody who is speaking at fancy events around the world from your living room, this is brilliant because it allows you to move around in your seat. You can get up and you can walk around the room if you want, and the camera follows you. The iPad doesn't move, but the technology in the sensor can pick you up and move as you move. It's a very small but really impressive feature. Again, the microphone on this deserves acknowledgement. The sound quality is brilliant. I have gone completely from doing video calls from my laptop with a headset. Just use the iPad now. and it is perfect. So as you will see, we have the front facing camera on. As I mentioned previously, the camera is here, so you're getting some lovely extra chin there. Ideally it would be here, but not to worry. You will see the clarity of the image on the iPad Pro is stunning. You can see my little frizzy hairs up top, you can see the color of my eyes, everything looks fantastic. If we move over to the iPad Air, not a bad image by any stretch of the imagination. Things are slightly bit grainier maybe, but again, you're not going to be upset about that. One really cool feature of this iPad that's not on this iPad is if I pinch out, it's not going to zoom out. If I pinch out here, it's going to give me the full shot. Again, that's Rory. Apparently he's important. Back to me. Apparently it is handy to have to try and, you know, capture more of your space. Again, if you are presenting, if you are on a family Zoom and you want to fill the dishwasher while you're talking to your friends and family, that is a nice touch to have. I don't think it's going to be the make or break for a lot of people, but I suppose, sure, look, we may as well talk about it. I mentioned about the M1 chip. There's been a lot of hoo-ha, for want of a better phrase, about this over the last while. We saw this being used in the new iMac lineup, which look beautiful, but also in the Mac Mini, and I bought a Mac Mini. It is one of the most powerful devices I have ever encountered. I have been blown away by it. You never see the beach ball, it never crashes. I have stopped going grey. It is fantastic. I am very impressed. So I was interested to see how that M1 chip would translate into an iPad, particularly if you're not doing a lot of that intensive work. Is it too much power for a tablet? The answer for me is kind of yeah, a little bit, unfortunately. For me, when I think about my usage of a tablet, what do I want a tablet to do? How does this cope with doing it? I have to say the iPad Air is just fantastic. All I really want a tablet to do is emails, list making, New York Times crossword, very important, and maybe the odd video call. If I were somebody that worked with images, if I was a photographer, if I was in architecture, any of those really creative professions that require the ability to edit large files instantaneously and work from the cloud with no lag at all, then the iPad Pro is the dream. There is a bit of a difference in terms of the technology. There is a significant difference in terms of the price. One is 679 euro, the other is 1,300 euro. Now, if you are someone who, you know, has money to burn, if money is no object, absolutely treat yourself and get the iPad Pro 2021 M1 chip, because from a technological point of view, there's very little out there that will beat it. If, however, you are looking to find the right fit for your work, your personal life, your lifestyle, all of that, depending on what you do for a living, I would argue that the iPad Air would tick most of those boxes, and for less than your 1,300 euro, not only would you get an iPad Air, the Apple Pencil, but you'd also get the keyboard as well, which is what I did, and I'm very smug about it. So for me, what I need, the iPad Air ticks all of those boxes. So do consider it, do your homework, and then enjoy your tablet.